Good morning. It is 8 o'clock on the start of a Tuesday. Glad you're with us for a second
Tuesday,
time.
innit?
Okay, can I tell you something?
No. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to anyway. So I was telling you, I am obsessed with this new artist. Her name is, I don't know that she's new, to be honest with you. Maybe she is.
Griff.
Her name is Griff. And if you are familiar with Rita Ora, I feel like she gives very
Like
Rita
Rita
Ora
Ora.
vibes.
What happened to Rita Ora?
She's still around. She's on the New Year's Eve special.
Oh, yeah. Okay, she does like things like that.
Yeah. So if you're interested in checking out some new music, Griff, maybe I can play like a little bit of the song for you because I don't.
Copyright. Griff's team's gonna come for
Yeah,
us.
I mean, I don't want to take this one down, but
We're promoting her, honestly.
Yeah, it was really good. This one song, it's called "Last Night's Mascara." Listen. It covers your eyes. I'm a beauty queen. Love it. So if you need something to like really jam out to in the car and like scream at the top of your lungs, I'm saying Griff is it.
I'm trying to find her on Instagram.
Ah, love
Griffy,
it.
Griffy.
See? Okay, there you go, Jeanette. Love it. Wrote it in my notes. Always looking for new music. Yes, my girl.
I've had a tough time. I haven't had any like new music until
couldn't hear
since
it?
the Wicked soundtrack came out. One more time.
Listening to Orinoco flow. Your last night's mascara is such a wonderful thing. It's as dark as my heart.
But it's sparkling. Ah, so good. Anytime you mention sparkles.
There we go. Now we should start like a second cup playlist.
Oh,
Of, like,
I
our
love
favorite
that.
songs or our songs of the season, stuff we're
that's a
jamming
really good
to.
idea.
The playlist. Use Apple Music or Spotify.
Spotify.
Okay. Well, we can do one of each because I do Apple Music, you do Spotify.
Okay.
Second cup playlist. Drop your favorite tracks. Drop your songs
Love that.
of now.
Her name is Griff, Griff. The song is called Last Night's Mascara. And then she has a couple other ones. And I've been trying to find out like if she has a tour. I don't really know where this tour was. Alexandra Palace. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
No, me neither. But then there's this other song called
Where is she from?
Jamaica.
Oh.
I mean, really, I'm a huge fan. I just kind of happened to discover her, and I can't get enough.
Jeanette says it's a perfect idea. Our Cuppies playlist.
Yeah,
Okay,
I love that.
We can get that started. Melly says she's Apple Music too, so we'll have to cross-platform situation, but we can put 10 songs.
Okay, here for
What
it.
we're listening to, what we're jamming to, and then we can get your recommendations. Someone said Teddy Swims. You know Teddy Swims?
Yes.
Which one is that?
Out of my
He,
mind. Out of my
screams.
mind. No, that's Benson. Is it
No,
Benson
no.
Boone?
I lose control. That's him, I think.
Yes.
Was she on the iHeart Awards last night,
Ooh, I don't
Lorianne? I don't know.
know.
But I did hear that Bad Bunny was out there looking like a snack.
I like Bad Bunny.
I love Bad Bunny.
How did I hear about her? I don't know. I think she just popped up in my
he's a
Spotify.
trendsetter. The things find him. You know what I mean?
I'm a zillennial.
He knows these things. Griff's team reached out personally and
Yeah,
they said, Dearest Edge Ranch, we would love the publicity from the most famous music
The most infamous.
entertainer in the world.
So funny. Well, glad you're with us to start the day. Glad we could talk about something very cool and hip and trendy. But let's dig into what is actually making headlines this morning, because I think this is really important to talk about.
Where do you want to start?
I want to start with Gendron.
Yeah.
So let's go way back in the time machine. May 14th, 2022. This guy comes to town targeting Buffalo in particular. His
He
name
had come
is
to town before.
Right. Scouting it out. Guy in the orange here. Oh, because he is a convicted felon and is spending the rest of his life in prison without parole for shooting and killing 10 black people. Anyway, so he comes to town, shoots and kills these 10 black people solely because they're black.
Yep. Has a slur written on the gun, is live streaming this on Twitch, had researched the blackest neighborhoods to come and find 10 black people to kill. He does so. He points the gun at a white worker in the tops and is like, oh, sorry, dude.
So in doing so, he used race as a motivation in his shooting. We know this for a fact. He is a white supremacist. We have proven that. We have heard it from the horse's mouth. Now, The federal trial against him is slated to start in September because don't forget, he's facing federal charges compared to state charges. The state handled its case already. The feds are doing its thing now. But in documents that I just found filed in court yesterday, his federal defense attorneys claim that race is a factor here in choosing to seek the death penalty against him.
And they're saying that the death penalty, or the federal government putting the death penalty on, or in this case, is just like arbitrary.
Arbitrary.
Like they're just doing that.
That's the word that his defense attorneys are using. They're saying, federal government just kind of willy-nilly, pie in the sky, picked out death penalty from the sky and said, death penalty.
And their argument is that Peyton Gendron is not being treated fairly, that other people who have committed similar crimes, who are Black and Hispanic, don't have the death penalty, but he does.
So his defense attorneys, in putting this in writing, have all but said race is a factor in this case. Coincidentally, a white supremacist is claiming race is a factor in the case against him.
Right. I mean, mind-boggling. Just explaining that and hearing it out loud is like, huh? And we've been talking about this for so long, and people are still so hurt by everything that happened, by his decisions. When he was 18 years old, made these decisions, came here. And then last week we talked about how they were trying to get the hate crime charge dropped. So that's last week. They want the hate crime charge dropped after we just talked about how it was deliberately a racist attack.
So we're talking about one charge in particular in that case, where it's count 27. There are 27 counts against him in this indictment, this federal indictment. The last charge, number 27, is the one that his defense attorneys want to get dropped because there is no specific name of a person who was affected by this. So it's the 70 or so people who were in and around Tops that day who would have been affected by his actions, that they are, the prosecution has said, okay, this was a hate crime against these people as well. But because there was no name, they say it should be dropped.
It's unconstitutional. And just for his team to mention race and to say, oh yeah, we're talking about race here. Actually, we want to bring up race too.
So what I think this is, let me read the direct quote from you because I think this is, it is what it is. I'm not going to tell you what I think, but you can fill in the blanks here. The government's decision to seek the death penalty against Gendron has an unjustifiable basis, his attorneys write. The Attorney General authorized a capital prosecution against Peyton Gendron, even as the Department of Justice withdrew previously filed notices of the government's intent to seek the death penalty against similarly situated Black and Hispanic defendants.
Who is similarly situated? I have never heard of anything like this. And I think someone said that. I think it was Connie who said, I've never heard of anyone doing anything like this or planning it out the way he did.
So there, and that's the whole thing, right? So they're using basically other cases where there was an accusation of terror against a community to say, look, these are very similar cases. Like, for instance, the Boston bomber.
Okay.
Who is Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. Is still going through the process. Ashley, good morning to you. He chose to target. This is a weird way to take accountability for murdering our neighbors. Sarah, I'd rather see him suffer in jail for life anyway, but still, how ridiculous. Kelly, it's such a shame to have enough hate in your heart at such a young age.
That's another thing that always stands out to me, that he was 18 years old and went out of his way, drove 4 hours from downstate up here to come and kill.
He was outside of Binghamton, in Conklin, New York. Lucy, I think the death penalty is warranted in this case, but I have to agree that the death penalty is not applied fairly across the board. I'm interested, Lucy. Give me some information. Give me some insight here so that we can understand your voice a little bit better. Because, maybe it's true.
Yeah.
But to use race as a factor in that determination, to me, is ironic and an absolute plot twist.
It's just so
knowing
wild.
that he killed 10 people, 10 Black people who were elders and pillars in our community.
Yeah. Some people on their way to or from church services.
Like the fact that his lawyers have the audacity
to fight it all, but then to use race and say, actually, our
it was
guy's
arbitrary.
He's like, oh yeah, our guy's not getting a fair shake here.
And then so look, he's already pleaded guilty. He's already been found guilty and
all the
convicted.
state charges. He's
Right.
going to be in jail for the rest of his life. We know that.
Regardless.
This is all up to the death penalty now when it comes to the federal case.
And so at this point, his lawyers are doing anything they can to say, please don't put him to death. In fact, his defense attorneys have already said that if they didn't seek the death penalty against him, he would have already pleaded guilty and like life would have gone on.
Mm-hmm.
But the federal government here chose the death penalty for, reasons that are unbeknownst to all of us. But now Gendron's attorneys are also asking for the reasons, the notes, the case law to be provided to them to say, okay, why did you pick the death penalty against Gendron, but not other people? So all of those things are now going to come into the public view. What do you think about that? I mean, are we focused too much on him? I mean, here's my thought.
Linda's saying, looking on the other side, his lawyers have to do what they can to rescue
Right.
him. They have nothing else they can do except what they're currently doing, kind of just going to work and doing a job kind of.
I understand that. I don't want to focus on him because I don't want to glorify his actions. But the reality is this white supremacist, this racist, awful, disgusting human being is costing taxpayers so much money.
And this court case is going to go on, whether we talk about it or not. But it's so important that you're doing the work and you're reading through these things because, we could have just seen, okay, another filing, blah, blah, blah. But this is important. They're now using race and turning it right back around and saying,
What?
yeah, this is not fair. We have to keep talking about this because it keeps it in the forefront. We, of course, want to keep the memory of our neighbors above all of this, right? And above him and talking about him. Even saying his name just is tough for me at this point. But we can't not see this through and talk about every step of the way what's happening in this case. And this step in this case is just baffling.
I mean, he targeted our community. He targeted, I said this to Dean Lewis when I was talking to him the days after this shooting. And Dean Lewis, I haven't spoken to him in a while, actually. I should probably call him. Dean Lewis was one of the guys who used to work for Tesla. Remember, he was standing outside, and that group of guys and women who were gathered outside Tops when the president came to town. He was mad. And I think it was important at that point, and somebody even brought it up on my Facebook page this morning. And I thought it was really important to make this obvious point. Peyton Gendron came to town not targeting me, but targeting him, Dean Lewis. And not Dean Lewis per se, but
People who look like Dean Lewis.
Had he been in that store that day, Dean Lewis would have been shot and killed.
Right.
Lauren, good morning to you. It sucks either way. Death penalty, and that gets him off easy. Sitting in jail, and then he'll have it easy there because they'll keep him protected. I wish he could just be put in a room with torture chambers, honestly.
Michael says, so problematic that the indefensible are required to be defended, but this is modern justice, and we'd all expect the right of a robust defense. And the reality is, and this is why I think so many people are conflicted here, because on one hand, he's already said, I did it. On the other hand, it's really just to spare his life. Yeah.
Whereas he spared no mercy, except for the white person who he apologized to.
On camera. And he live streamed this. He wanted people to see it. He wanted people to see what he was doing.
Linda, they should get a jury of all white people and have them decide to give him the death penalty. But see, that's not why is that even a thing? It's a jury is supposed to mirror what our community looks like. It is supposed to be all encompassing.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating story to me.
It's a frustrating point to be at now. Especially as we get closer, when we get towards spring, I start thinking about May 14th.
It was Mother's Day.
It was Mother's Day. It was a beautiful day.
Actually,
Mother's Day weekend.
No, I take it back. It wasn't Mother's Day.
The 1 year was Mother's Day. But it was around then. It was around there because it would have been the second week. But it was a beautiful day. We're coming on 3 years, which is wild to think about it. And here we are still sitting talking about this kid. And now we're gonna, try to use race to defend him. Like,
My blood pressure is going up, Kamar says. Such a piece of poop. No choice is the right choice for something this terrible. Right, like,
I know there's no answer. There's no right thing. There's nothing that will make all of us feel better about it. But
No.
certainly not this.
Let me tell you a little personal story here. So 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, no, it was 3 years ago. It was February 2023. Two.
Or-
2 years ago? I don't remember. Regardless, right after he pleaded guilty, and we were in the courtroom for that. Were you on the
I
air
was
for that?
Katie and I were on
Okay.
air, and we had guests, and you
I was
were
in the
there
courtroom.
with Eileen, I think.
Yes. So days later, I got into a really, really bad car crash. And, you drive to work at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock, whatever it is. And, you do the same thing every single day. You kind of take the same path. You could do it with your eyes closed. And I swear to you that I was not paying attention to anything on the road that day because all I could think about was the families
Yeah.
when one of the family members lunged across the podium trying to
Oh,
reach
yeah,
him and just the raw emotion. And then I was going through like the whole thing of like, this kid is never going to do what I did. Like I was not feeling sorry for him, but I was like, why would you throw your life away like that? How can you feel like that in your heart of hearts? And then bam, I was
Oh
T-boned.
my gosh.
And I was like, whoa. Like either a wake-up call or like something so much more powerful.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it's like that is all I could think about while I was driving to work that morning.
That's so wild.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It was like it has weighed on me. I don't know about you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's something you never will shake. I mean, like, I think about Pearl Young all the time.
Oh yeah.
Do I think about Ruth Whitfield all the time? You think about all of them. And you think about their family members and the people who they left behind, thinking they would come home that day from the grocery store. They were grocery shopping. Almost every single time I go grocery shopping, I can't be distracted anymore. I can't be
Right.
on my phone. I can't have headphones in. You got to be prepared for something wild to happen these days.
Joseph, glad you're with us. I think this might be one of the first times we're hearing from you on Second Cup, so I'm glad that you're with us. Buffalo has always been a melting pot of cultures. Growing up on the West Side was the best due to all the great cultures. I was lucky enough to experience people like him have no place.
And I think watching that in the courtroom 2 years ago was just such an intense moment. Watching these people come face to face with evil, with
Right.
the evil that took one of their loved ones away, and get to speak to him. Oh, and I knew it was going to hit a boiling point. And I cannot blame these people at all
No.
for being frustrated, for being wanting to lunge at him and wanting to do something about it. But watching it and having that moment, I mean, it rips you apart for these people.
So his trial is set for September, and there will be a lot that comes between now and then. And we're kind of ramping up here, I think. Like, we're
Mhm.
starting to see motions really come out. There are almost 300 filings in this case.
Yeah.
Many are sealed, so we don't get a chance to actually see what's being discussed. But there is more to come in the process.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's going to be a lot more to talk about. We're going to be talking about it. And as we get closer to it, I mean, it's important that we keep in the conversation. And I mean, that perspective, Sarah, is what I'm talking about. It's wild. I don't bring my kids to the grocery store if I can help it because you got to always be prepared. Someone told me after the top shooting that they don't let their kids wear light up shoes for that reason. They don't let their kids wear light up sneakers because if they're ever in a situation where they need to hide
Oh, my
and
God.
their kids wearing light up sneakers, what are they going to do? I mean, that kind of perspective, that stuff. It's like, what?
The
What are we
simple
doing?
things,
You
right.
know? It really puts things in perspective.
Good conversation. I think it's a really important topic to discuss. And look, I mean, we still have so much work to do, like locally, on a national level. I
At
mean,
dinner tables,
right.
With our own families, and I'm happy that the Second Cup community, we can have these conversations and we can be open and honest with each other and have these difficult conversations. But challenge your coworkers, challenge your friends, your family members. If you get a chance, you should be talking about this.
yeah,
It's
why do you
uncomfortable.
feel that way?
We gotta have uncomfortable conversations because that's how we got to this point, not talking about
Well,
it.
that's what Pam Pritchett said, Pearl Young's daughter. You can't be Buffalo strong until you're Buffalo uncomfortable.
Gotta get there.
Another thing that we're following this morning, and somebody had mentioned this, that they saw the headline here. What's the cover up? Here's
Yeah,
AJ. Glad you're with us, AJ. Thanks for joining us. So Dan DJ Granville is an Erie County Sheriff's Chief. He
Chief
is
Narcotics Officer.
and a Chief of Narcotics and Intelligence. Here he is. He was involved in an April 2024 crash on Buffalo's west side, but it wasn't just a crash.
Yeah.
It was a number of crashes
Right.
that have been alleged as hit and runs.
And then many settlements have come from this, from those people whose cars were hit, the county paying them. Inevitably, it's your tax dollars, if you live in Erie County, going to these people. Here's the car. We've got these pictures, and you can see the passenger side. That light is gone, the airbag deployed. There's just a lot going on here. So this is from the press conference from last week where Granville was there.
Right.
And we asked him point blank, do you have anything to say about this? There's all these allegations out there about this crash, and that's what they're calling it right now, a crash. But there are questions. Was this a cover-up? Why are we just hearing about this? What went on behind the scenes here?
Right.
Who's being held accountable?
60 grand is really like a drop in the bucket for a county to have to pay out, but it's the principle here. This is something that if he was off duty, the county controller, Kevin Hardwick, has said the guy should be responsible for himself. It shouldn't be the county taxpayers footing the bill here. Needless to say, there are many people who are affected by this, but the cover-up comes into play because it was Buffalo police who responded to this, number one. Number two, it was his sister-in-law who works for the Buffalo Police Department who signed off on the police reports, and never once does it say, I tested him for drugs, alcohol, or anything of the sort.
And then the question of whether he was on duty or off duty, I think, is what there are so many questions that are along with this, right? But was he working? Was he not working? And this is a county car, right?
Yeah. So if he was off duty, the answer would be he owes the money. If he was on duty, the county taxpayers would have to foot the bill rather. Shonda says so much corruption, it just never ends. And then to have these claims paid out and not raise any red flags about it is even more alarming, according to what the bipartisan resolution says. Both the Republicans and the Democrat in the county legislature. That's Jessica Larigo. She's basically saying this touches every single layer of government here, and she wants answers.
Everybody's like, hold on here. There are a lot of question marks being raised, and now even a common council member, David Rivera, now stepping in and saying, hey, Buffalo Police, what's going on here?
What the F, man? How did this happen? Why is there now an internal investigation? And how did the Police Oversight Committee not know about this?
Yeah, so there are going to be questions for the police commissioner. There are a lot of questions for the Erie County Sheriff's Office. Is this a cover-up?
Connie says it doesn't matter if he was working or off duty. It's all been covered up. Joyce says something there above the law. Time will tell. Okay, with the last couple of minutes here, this is something that I think is super cool.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so I'm obsessed with this camera. I think that of all things that we are focused on nowadays, just the simplicity of nature is so beautiful.
This has brought a childlike joy out of Edward all morning this morning.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, right? And this is happening all the time, but we don't always get to see what's going on in nature.
And so here we are. There's this family, the Ott family in Wyoming County. They have set up this camera at a nest where this bald eagle has laid 2 eggs and is now waiting, from what I understand, for them to hatch.
So there are a pair of eagles, Oreo and York, and they're babies, and they're sitting on them. And they're waiting for them to hatch. Here they are. Don't know which one this is, but you can see, oh yeah, doing a little shimmy. You got to have technique here. But we did earlier when I was watching it, I called out to Ed because I saw the shift change. We saw one fly the coop, fly the nest, and the other one come in and sit down on the eggs.
But look at how, so they've been changing position. They, one was up a little earlier, about 6 o'clock this morning, and, just looking at the camera, kind of like, are you spying on me? Yes, we all are.
Yeah, we're looking at you.
But this is awesome because I'm pretty sure bald eagles are an endangered species.
Oh, really?
let me double check that because I just want to make sure that I'm not speaking inaccurately.
No, this is a live camera, and you can watch this all day if you want to. And I'm looking at the comments, and people are giving like a play-by-play. And we think this is York. So Oreo was there earlier this morning. They kept
popped his
saying
head up when you said
Oreos.
that.
Hey York, hey girl, good morning. So this is York. People are saying that Oreo was there before, and then I guess they switched. I don't know how this works. Mom and dad, shift change. One does night shift, one does morning shift. But we think those little eggies are under there. We're waiting on the babies.
Okay, so according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the bald eagle is an endangered species success story. In the mid-1900s, our national symbol was in danger of extinction throughout most of its range. Bald eagles were decimated by habitat destruction and degradation and illegal shooting. Habitat protection provided by the Act. Bald eagle sightings are now a common occurrence in many parts of the country. They were endangered. Oh, thank you. Our birding expert, MB. They were endangered at one time, but I think it's changed. So, and then going back to the Wikipedia, it says that the species status was upgraded from endangered to threatened in 1995 and removed from the list altogether in 2007.
Yay. Michael, there's no more amazing spectacle than nature. It is pretty cool. Earlier this morning, I was like, nature, but then I started watching it at my desk, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait. It's really cool to see it in the daylight, too. And earlier, I think it was York, was like grabbing some of those little pieces of nest and like putting it underneath and just doing everything they can to make sure these babies are warm and safe. It's chilly out there this morning. There was literally frost on the bird's back.
Look at how beautiful this bird is, though. I mean, this is not just any bird.
Majestic.
Yeah, it's the symbol of American freedom. And when you see, like, the power and just the distinctive stare, I would call it, from, I mean, the bird's eye. I mean, it's really, really just beautiful. And when you consider, like, the symbol of what it means to us here, I love it.
I am honestly scared of birds, which is why I wasn't super into this at first.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just kind of freak me out. I don't like the way they move. I don't like that they can fly. I'm like, oh, what's going on up there? Maybe one too many seagulls pooped on me in the Jersey Shore when I was a kid. But this is really, really cool.
So this is actually the fourth time that eagles have nested here, is what the Ott family is saying. And, you know, maybe it's like good luck for them. I don't know.
Gotta be. I can only imagine how fun it is for them to watch, you know, day in and day out and see. I wonder where this is, and you know, when they first realized, oh my gosh, we are home too.
Right. This is the fourth time.
Eagles.
Barbara says, check with the Iroquois National Wildlife Refuge. They have a nesting pair also, and great information. We live in the most amazing area.
Yes.
Yeah. We actually have a link to this live stream for you right now on WKBW.com. Johnny with the Body is posting it for us.
We have to stop calling him that because he keeps smiling when we do.
John, okay, so John was deadlifting yesterday, and he was telling us about it, but he was a little sore, but damn, boy, like, good for you. Like, work that. Summer is coming.
Work that.
And you know, spring is coming when we see birds starting to nest. Linda says, she had some bald eagles fly right in front of me. It was amazing. Thank you for the site information. Yeah, you got it.
Honey, that's my whole thing. I don't know. Birds just scare me a little bit. One time when I was a kid, one took a pizza out of my hands. Just not nice, but.
My friend's parrot just attacked her the other day. Be careful.
See, you gotta be careful with these birds.
Oh, Nancy says usually they always return to the nest. Okay. Have a few sets out this way in Shelby and Knowlesville. Nesting.
How do we know which one is which? Maybe MB can tell us. Like, how are these people differentiating between which one's Oreo and which one's York?
Is there a way to tell which one's
male, one female? This is so much education. Oh, hey York. Wow. I feel like he can hear us.
Look at that beak. The curvature and the sharp point. I mean, that thing will literally destroy you in a matter of milliseconds. What are we looking at?
We got to protect these little babies.
Barbara wants to know, what's your deadlift PR, John?
Oh, God. Why are we giving him a platform?
I give you a platform. How about that? I don't know. I'm bad at math.
What'd you do yesterday?
He knows what his PR is.
275. 275.
Wow.
275.
Good for you.
I deadlift
I
275.
had something in my eye. It was a sparkle.
I'm sure it was.
We're giving him a platform because he deserves it. He's working hard. Summer bodies are made in the winter / early spring.
Amen. Ed gets me.
He literally, Ed goes, Johnny with the body, and he's like, he's over there blushing.
Sorry that I get a little bit of joy, Taylor. I know that like kills you inside.
Okay. All right.
Okay, bye.
You go ahead.
We got to get the show on the
See
road
what
here.
happens.
Hope you're off to a great start. Enjoy.
Bye, guys.